When I, 37 male, was 20, I met the most beautiful woman, Lila, who was 19 at the time. She was beautiful both inside and out. She had the most gorgeous dark brown hair that looked red and purple when the light hit it just right, these golden brown eyes and lashes that looked like a doll's, freckles on her rosy plump cheeks, and a single dimple when she smiled a certain way. She was a year younger than me, but yet she was always so much smarter and mature in every aspect. We dated for 2 years. I met her parents, and her no-nonsense cop father definitely gave me the stank eye at first, but he grew to like me. Her mom adored me right off the bat, always commenting on how my green eyes complemented her daughter's golden brown eyes in the most romantic way. I still don't fully understand what that means, but I like the compliment. Her younger siblings loved playing in the backyard with me. She met my parents and my 2 brothers, and they all loved her right off the bat. My younger brother was the same age as her, and they were going to college together and would help each other study in some of the shared classes their majors had. Hell, even my 6-month-old dog I had adopted before even meeting her seemed to like her more than he liked me. She told me her dreams, how she wanted to own a home that was tucked away from everything but not completely isolated. How she wanted to be a doctor, and that she wanted to help people. She wanted to be a pediatrician. She loved kids. She always said she wanted a family. She didn't care how many kids she had, she just wanted to experience the ups and downs of motherhood. She wanted the good, the bad, the ugly. I listened to her go on and on about baby names and how she would design a nursery. At the time, I thought I wanted kids too. I wanted to marry this girl and give her the family she so clearly wanted. She was my Lila, I wanted to stay with her forever. I was young, but I was in love with her. After 2 years of dating I started to realize that I didn't want to have kids. I thought I was just being around too many of my bratty cousins and that was turning me off from the idea. But the more I thought about it, the more the idea of having to be a father made me sick. I would get headaches and my stomach would twist in knots thinking about having to take care of some screaming, crying and shitting little thing, and then have it grow into a tantrum throwing toddler, a bratty child, and then some moody teenager. I didn't want to be held down like that. I wanted to travel, have money, be free. After a few drinks one night, I ended up telling all of this to Lila. I remember she went quiet and simply said, "I won't try and change your mind, but I'm not giving up my dreams." I remember scoffing and rolling my eyes, telling her that we weren't going to have kids. She stood up from the couch, and said, "You might not want that anymore, but I still do. I'm not going to try and force either one of our minds to change, then one of us will end up miserable." I realized she was breaking up with me, and even though she was so calm and mature about it, I remember feeling so angry. She was walking around the apartment gathering her things and being completely silent. I kept arguing with her, trying to change her mind. I kept telling her that it was stupid to want kids, that they were annoying and a waste of time. When she still didn't budge, I started to insult her. I said she was stupid, that she was a weak woman for wanting to be a mom, that she should just give up on being a doctor so she could push out her brats. Lila finally started to respond to me, telling me to calm down, that we simply wanted different things in life and that was okay. I hated her in that moment, that she wasn't agreeing with me. I remember punching the wall of our apartment, kicking a door, throwing anything I could get my hands on. She watched me wreck our living room and kitchen, not saying a word. She walked past me and left. This whole thing happened over a few hours. In less than a day I lost the love of my life, and my apartment was now trashed. Of course, news of why we broke up and my reaction to it reached my family. My mom cried hearing how I reacted. My dad gave me the coldest look I'd ever seen. My brothers both said I was an idiot, with my younger brother saying I was lucky Lila hadn't called the cops on me during that. That was 15 years ago. I've tried to have relationships since, but they never lasted more than a few weeks. I travel around for work, but now I'm back in the same town Lila lives in. Lila got married, got her doctorate, had kids, and is still a pediatrician last I heard. I know my younger brother still kept some contact with her in the first few years after the breakup. He even invited her to his wedding, but she declined because she didn't want to cause drama. I'm back in her town, the town we both grew up in, dated in, lived in, and where she currently lives. I can't stop thinking about her. I miss her so much right now. I miss her sweet perfume that smelled like a bakery, her strawberry shampoo, the way her hair looks in the light. She's 36 now, and I want to reach out to her and make amends with her. I want to hold and hug her one last time, to tell her I love her and I'm sorry. I don't know if that's a good idea, but a part of me needs closure. I don't know what to do. I want to sweep her off her feet and have her be my love again, but I don't know if that ship has sailed already. Part of me needs closure. I tried to move on. I've dated others since, I've lived my life. My brothers and parents never really let me forget her, and they always blamed me for why they don't speak much to her. When my younger brother got married about 3 years after our breakup, he still tried to invite her to his wedding because the two of them had been friends. She declined to attend because she didn't want to cause tension and drama. She still sent a gift and a card. My brother was pissed at me when she declined and says had I not been an idiot he'd still have his friend. My parents and siblings still send her birthday and Christmas cards, and they even sent her wedding gifts when she got married, and then baby stuff when she got pregnant. My dad is friends with her dad and so he still hears about what goes on in her life. And my parents never let it go how I ruined a perfect thing for everyone. Update 1. I recently reached out to an ex-girlfriend of mine to see about meeting up and catching up on life. I didn't expect her to respond to me, as we ended on bad terms. She responded, we ended up messaging for a while and did some catching up. I finally asked her if she'd be willing to see me in person, and said she'd be willing to meet up with me. I'm over the moon, but I'm also nervous about going on a date with her. She's 36 and I'm 37, and our last time being on dates with one another was close to 15 years ago. Our date is tomorrow evening after she gets off work. I'm scared I'll mess things up again. I already feel like she's being too generous with me by even agreeing to speak to me again, let alone see me in person, but I'll take any chance I can to try and make things right with her. I can't shake this horrible feeling in the back of my throat that I'll mess something up, that I'll just end up more heartbroken than before. That I'll come on too strong and she won't want to see me ever again. I've bought her favorite flowers for her, I've already made sure to start re-wearing her favorite cologne of mine from all those years ago. I've been practicing what I need and what I want to say to her. I have no idea how this date's going to go, but I just need to type out these feelings of nervousness I have. Update 2. Following my last post, I reached out to Lila. I had to. I know a lot of people wanted me to never contact her again, despite how I wanted to make amends with her. So I reached out to her, and she responded and we chatted back and forth a bit. After a bit of this, I asked her if she wanted to meet up, and basically let her set all the ground rules. She agreed, and 3 days ago we went out on a date. She is just as beautiful as she was when we were together. Her figure filled out, and she finally lost the baby fat on her face, but she was still the same woman I fell in love with all those years ago. We sat down and talked. I didn't want to talk much about myself, but she asked about my life so I had to. She asked about my job, my family, how I'd been. Typical catching up stuff. I'll admit I was zoned out for most of this, and I was operating on autopilot to keep my nerves from taking over. I just wanted to grab her and hold her, kiss her, make her mine against. I don't think I realized just how much I missed her until she was right in front of me. Finally, when she was done asking about me, I finally got to ask about her and how she's been. She got married 11 years ago, so 4 years after our breakup. She has 2 daughters, an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. I saw how happy she was when she talked about them, and I couldn't help but feel jealous and guilty. I should have been the one to have children with her, but I was stupid and now she had kids with someone that wasn't me. I asked about her husband, and turns out she's a widow. He died 7 years ago while she was pregnant with her youngest. It was unexpected, according to her, but that she's done her best to move on and hold herself together and appear unaffected by it all for her daughters. I asked her if she was seeing anyone, and she said no. I asked her if she ever thought about me after our breakup, and she got vague with her answers. I told her she could tell me blunt what she was thinking. Lila said that she was very depressed after our breakup. She had built a future of us in her head, and she felt like I broke it on a whim with no warning. She said she lost her first real relationship and all the dreams she had with me when we broke up. She admitted that she had been so attached and in love with me that for a while she almost tried to convince herself that she didn't want kids, but no matter what she did she couldn't stop herself from wanting to be a mom, and she knew that if she gave that up voluntarily she would be miserable for the rest of her life. I asked her if I scared her that night, if she felt threatened by me at all. She said the yelling overwhelmed her, and while the commotion frightened her, she wouldn't say she feared for her safety or life, so that gave me hope. I apologized to her about how we broke up, and told her I had regretted everything I did and said that night. She said she had moved on and forgiven me years ago. She always was a very forgiving and kind person, part of the reason I fell in love with her in the first place. I asked her if she was willing to give me another chance and let me back in her life. She was hesitant, and got quiet for a moment. I could feel myself panicking when that happened. She said that she didn't mind me being in her life, but that I'd have to regain her trust in order for her to consider even trying to date me. I was disappointed, frustrated, and very disheartened, but I knew if I came on too strong she'd turn me away completely. I told her I'd be happy to be in her life any way that I can, and that with her permission I'd be working to prove I deserved a second chance at romance. I'm happy to have Lila semi back in my life, and I'm going to work on proving to her that we should get back together. I hope that we can have the family and life she always talked to me about. I know there's still time, but the clock is ticking on it. I'm hoping that one day I'll be posting for advice on the family we'll have together, if all things go well. Oop, when you say starting over I assume you mean with a new baby? She always wanted a lot of kids, she'd be happy if she got pregnant again. I know she's a little disappointed about only having 2. She used to say she didn't care how many she had, but she also had made comments about wanting 4 when we were together. Now on to second story. Laughed when my aunt shamed my father's mistress for using him as a solution for her depression. Now my dad is mad at me. 2 years ago my father left my mother to go with his mistress, whom I will call Anna, common name. My mother never had any idea about the infidelity. Anna knew that my father was married. She even went to the house with him to take his things. One day he simply told my mother that he is no longer in love with her and wants to be happy with Anna. I was there when everything happened. Anna was depressed. She has many scars on her legs and arms. I don't go to my father's house. It makes me uncomfortable to be around them for obvious reasons. Anna is overly nice and it's really uncomfortable. A few days ago it was my grandfather's birthday and the whole family was together, including Anna. I have an aunt who suffers from depression and other more heavy things like schizophrenia. She has tried to hurt herself many times. At one point in the night there were only my father, my aunt, Anna, another aunt and I in the living room. For some reason my aunt and Anna were talking about some serious things, and at one point Anna began to say that depression made her do many things trying to feel fulfilled, that she could only overcome depression when she met my father and he saved her, that meeting him was the key to overcome her depression, and now she's finally happy thanks to him. I know about that because Anna often tried to bond with me by telling me how much she suffered in her life and how my father saved her. She has always justified herself that she was depressed and was in a hard place in her life before my father saved her. It always make me feel uncomfortable, and I don't feel empathy for her no matter how sweet she is. Talking about how many times you try to kill yourself in front of my 8-year-old sister, it's not something normal. Anna has always tried to paint her relationship with my father as a fairy tale that began in a different way, but that she doesn't regret anything because her world is perfect now. At that moment my aunt said something like, I tried to save myself by going to a psychologist, not by jumping on the dick of a married man, and then she began to say that depression made her want to jump off a bridge but not ruin a family. I just laughed. It was funny. My aunt may have her mind elsewhere all day, but it was crazy to see her make such a sly comment. But when my father was taking me home, Anna was crying and he scolded me for laughing at what my aunt said, saying that no one knows everything that Anna suffered. I know, she always talks about that. I didn't apologize, but now I think, was I really wrong to laugh? From my point of view, my aunt was right. Update 1. Hello, some things happened over the weekend. My aunt came home, I live with my mother, and told my mom what happened. My sister is an 8-year-old girl and she really hates Anna. Anna wants to try to get along with my sister and told her about the time she wanted to commit suicide and how my dad saved her. After that my sister came home asking my mother if she had ever thought about committing suicide. That's not a question an 8-year-old girl should ask, and my sister even asked me questions about suicide after that. I don't really know what else exactly Anna said to her, but it definitely affected her as a little girl. It's not even something you should talk about with a girl of that age. My mother was furious, and since that day she forbids my father to have my younger sister near Anna as she considers her a dangerous and unstable person around children. Since that day things have been really tense between my father and my mother. My little sister doesn't want to visit our father, so she is fine with this. My aunt told my mother that Anna talked about it again, but this time in front of me. Apparently my father and Anna were totally forbidden to talk about these things in front of me too. I'm not a little kid, but apparently that was the arrangement my mother made with my father when she set boundaries for them. My aunt told her what happened that day, and I confessed to my mother that Anna and my father talk a lot about those suicide attempts in front of me, which is something I should have talked about before, but at that moment I didn't want problems and decided to just ignore them. I told my mom that for that reason I am not going to my father's house anymore, and my mother got very upset with him. The next day she went to talk to my father. I don't know what they talked about. She just came back saying that Anna can't get close to us anymore. She told me that she can't forbid me from being near my father, and that's my decision, but Anna is extremely forbidden to set foot in the same place where I and my sister are. My paternal grandparents agreed, and my aunts too. They knew about the situation with my younger sister. I haven't spoken to my father, but my cousin told me that my father argued with my grandfather. He often says that Anna is a good person and we don't understand the pain she suffered, so I guess he's upset with all of us now for our great lack of empathy, as he always says. I don't know, at least now I won't see them for a while. It was a boring update, but that's what happened. Haha info. My father is only 3 years older than Anna. She is not much younger than him or anything like that. From what Anna told me, she always tells it, they met at work. She called my father every time she tried to commit suicide, and so he began to help her. Anna used to go to the psychologist but said that she decided to leave it because that did not help her. Then she met my father and well, according to her, he saved her. It is disturbing to hear her talk about how she always sent messages to my father since he was her only support. Her words, and he ran and left everything at home to go with her every time she was feeling bad. A sociopath in my books. A good person doesn't talk about suicide with an 8-year-old, whose brain hasn't developed fully to understand its implications. Or a good person doesn't have sex with a man who is in a committed relationship. Oop, my cousin doesn't like her neither. My father is the one who says those things. Update 2. Hi, I wasn't planning to make another update, but we've had a lot of problems with Anna, too many, and I think now even my father has realized that she's crazy. I have stopped going to see my father, and my father's parents stopped allowing him to go with Anna to their house since I am there a lot, and my mother does not allow her to come near me or my sister. Anna began to have the strange behavior of starting to send me texts. First she apologized to me but insisted that my father misses me and my sister. I replied to her that my mother does not allow us to talk to her, and she said that she is my father's partner, so we have to get used to her being around. She started to talk badly about my mother, skeptical, saying that I'm too young to realize it, but my mother is manipulating us and that's wrong because she's not allowing us to be a family. I'm young but I'm not dumb. I didn't answer her again and showed the messages to my mother, who spoke to my father again. My father knew nothing about this and apparently had an argument with Anna about this, since now my mother is planning to take away his last name from our name to end with this shit show and protect us. I don't understand too much about this, but in my country you can go to court and take out your father's surname, making him have no right over you anymore. I honestly believe that neither my sister nor I would have any problem with this, but I think my mother just said that to scare him. This is something I heard from my aunt, and I don't know how much of this is real, but my father has been staying at my grandparents' house. One of those nights Anna went to knock on the door looking for him just to argue. She and my father began to argue. Anna yelled at my dad that he couldn't leave her like that, but nothing else happened because my grandfather kicked her out. My aunt also told me that my father told her that Anna sends him messages like, "If you leave me I will kill myself, you can't leave me," so my father is afraid of leaving her and afraid of her. Less than 2 days ago I found out that my father had to leave work quickly because she sent him goodbye messages. Nothing happened to her, she just cut her arms as always. My aunt said that this is something that Anna has always done. Even when the affair started she sent him messages saying that she was about to commit suicide so that my father would go to her. This is something that Anna also told me, but in a more romantic way. It always scared me. I have no contact with my father and I avoid him when he's on Grandpa's house, but as far as my aunt has told me, he doesn't know what to do since he misses us but is afraid to leave her and that she will kill herself. I feel bad for thinking this, but I'm really relieved to be hearing all this from afar. I'm so thankful that my mom forbade us to see her before all this happens, and honestly this is his karma, so I'm not going to get into this. Anna took her own life when my father went to get some of his things with Grandpa and was scared that she could hit or do something to him. That's all I know, but she killed herself while they were loading some of my father's stuff into the car. I'm very shocked. I wanted to think what everyone told me, that she wasn't going to do it. I don't want to talk to my father at all. Is this wrong? Want my mother to take us away from him? I do not know. I go to the psychologist and my sister too, but neither of us want to talk to my dad. Even now, I don't want that drama in my life. My psychologist says it's normal and I shouldn't talk with him if I don't want to. My sister hates him. I don't feel bad for Anna either, and that makes me feel worse. The last thing I heard about her before this was that the police didn't do anything because they never do anything, and she refused to continue her psychological treatment because, according to my aunt, they would tell her that she should be hospitalized, and that happened to my aunt in the past too. I didn't know that. I remember my father telling her about her appointments with the psychologist and even the psychiatrist sometimes because of the medications and the start of that relationship, but she would refuse and say she was fine. She wasn't young or naive. She was 34, almost my parents' age. I even think she had more control in the relationship than my father. She was a grown woman, and I can admit that this last days I was nervous about her BC of all the things she was doing. I don't feel bad about her death. I even feel very relieved that she is dead, and it is something that my aunts have also told me. Everyone feels like that about her. They and my psychologist say that it is normal to feel that way, but anyway, I prefer to think that I am a better person than her and my father, so I'm not going to be happy for it, but respectful. It's sad to think that we're all relieved when someone died. She wasn't a good person at all. My father is not a good person either, and I know it. He is not an innocent. He did many bad things to my mother during the whole divorce process. He left us until it occurred to him to want to play family with that woman, and even so my mother had always encouraged us to talk to him. They both did a lot of things to my mother during the divorce process, but now I just want my mother to continue to forbid my father from seeing us until we want to see him. Anna scared me. I also feel guilty thinking that she may have seen one of my posts, even though I don't know if she knows English or the existence of this app.